Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another fantastic episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. I'm your host, that ocean crossing, straight up Boston, flight catching, shot glass snatching. Where's he going next? Nobody knows. Three continents down, three more to go. No cap, straight facts, the worldwide star boy, Remy Blue. But it's not about me. No, you see, we have a special guest tonight who, and I'll tell you all this right now. You might want to hide your mothers because he will instantly, in the blink of an eye, out of nowhere like an RKO, become your stepdaddy. Everybody, welcome to the show, the hot mother lover, hot stuff, Jayden Jett. How you doing tonight, sir?
I am fantastic. That is one hell of an entrance right there, by the way. That is awesome.
I try, man. I try.
Awesome.
But oh wow, you already have a fan here, man.
Oh, sweet.
GOAT.
What's up?
So I gotta ask you, man. You know, we've seen a couple of clips, man. Man, you are a phenomenal wrestler, man. You know, we saw that one clip of you against Gaston, and we saw a full match between you two. You guys have a hell of a rivalry there, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But you know, before we get into that, you know, because we gotta talk about some stuff about how one of our alumni guests said apparently you went to the dark side and you kicked him in the face. And, you know, we saw you were actually a tag team partner with another one of our alumni guests. We're going to get into that. But before we get into that, man, you know, I always ask, you know, 99% of our guests here, you know, how did you become a fan of professional wrestling? What was the match or the main event that got you hooked?
So I have to give it away to Justin Xavier. He's kind of the one who like showed me the way to wrestling. Like, you know, I knew about John Cena and Randy Orton like going through like middle school. Who didn't know all that? But went into that, and then like we were like best friends throughout middle school, high school, all that. And like one day he invited me over, and like we started watching wrestling. And I think it was Survivor Series. I saw Chad Gable like German suplex one of the Uso brothers into like a crowd of people. I was like, wow, this is cool. And so I just started watching from there. So I was like hooked. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wow, that's cool, and that's a great way to start. I mean, Chad Gable, you know, he's a tremendous competitor. If you ask me, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time until he actually becomes, you know, a singles champion, and yeah, that's definitely a great way to start as well too. With Chad Gable versus going up against one of the Usos. So, growing up, did you ever get to like go to any of like the shows like in person? Or did you just, you know, watch from home?
So I probably started watching wrestling when I was a sophomore in high school. So I think I went to my first WWE show when I was a junior, and then I went to my first indie show when I was about a senior in high school. And that indie show I actually wrestle on now, so it's kind of full circle. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that's cool, man. So when you just said that, you just put a vision in my head, and not it's not necessarily a vision because it's been shown as a drawing too, where you have the fan. I don't know if you see it, but you have the evolution of the wrestler. You have the wrestler as a fan cheering on, and then he ends up, you know, you see him 1 minute, you know, holding the ropes and, you know, to set up the ring, and then the next picture you see him like he's in his indie gear getting ready to have, he's in not indie gear, but he's in his wrestling gear getting ready to have his first match, and then the final picture is of him. He's bulked up. He put on some muscle. He look like $1,000,000. He has on the his new gear now, and it's implied that he's been signed to a big company, and he's doing his thing now after all that hard work. So you just gave me, you know, that vision, that drawing just came into my mind when you said that you were at the indie show as a fan, and now you're resting on there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the end goal, to get signed to the WWE. But I made at least one goal. I made it to the indie show that I first watched. So, and I was the champ for that show too. So that was also pretty cool.
Wow, that must have been something, man. Like, to think that a couple of years ago you were a fan, now you're the champion of that company.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty surreal. It was like, wow, I'm really doing this.
So how did your journey go from, you know, wrestling fan to pro wrestler? Like, how do you, because I know Justin Pac-Man Xavier, he told us that you, him, and Mike Howard, and I believe his brother too, y'all all started, in the backyard scene, and then y'all leveled up and started, getting some more training, and y'all started traveling and everything. So how did that journey go for you?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So we started in the backyard. So it was kind of I was at a weird stage in high school where I was trying to fit in, and unfortunately, Justin had moved away to a different high school or in like the beginning years of it, and he moves back, and I didn't realize it, and we kind of like we get back to it, and he's like showing me all this wrestling stuff, and then he's like messing around on a trampoline, and then we start like recording it and stuff, and like it's probably sophomore year down to senior year, we started like getting pretty serious about going to training. So we ended up hitting up um, a promoter who brought us to Ascend Pro Wrestling, where Tim Lutz actually trained us. And then probably about 6 months from there, we were about 4 days shy of debuting until COVID hit, which pushed us back probably about 9 months. And then of October of 2020, I believe, we ended up debuting.
Okay, wow. So you and Justin, y'all debuted together, or was it like separate?
No, we debuted together. So we went into training gonna be a tag team as our team name was Retro Flight. So we went in that together, and then we had our first match together, which that was also pretty surreal. Like I'm doing this with my best friend. Like it was pretty cool.
Wow, that's cool, man. So let me see. So you guys were Retro Flights, and Justin Xavier and Mike Howard, they're Arcade Hangover. So if you guys become a trio, would it be safe to say you guys would be Retro Arcade Hangover?
Yeah, I would believe that. I would believe that honestly. I mean it crossed my mind before, I would not lie, but I'm on a they're here and I'm here, so we're on two separate pages right now.
Okay, but who? Yeah, that's the thing about wrestling. You never know where somebody's gonna be. I mean, maybe you guys will separate for good. Maybe you guys will reunite. I if you would have told me, I've been watching wrestling since 1990. If you would have told me that at smack dab when the Rockers broke up in 1992, which was 31 years ago, that Shawn Michaels and Marginelli would have teamed up 13 years later, I'd be like, you are lying. Whatever you're smoke, you either need to go outside and touch grass, or you need to just stop touching grass. But it happened. I mean, I mean, it was a one-off appearance, but they happened. They reteamed to fight La Resistance,
Mhm.
and then after seeing Shawn Michaels and Triple H go through what they went through with the matches they had, the Hell in a Cell matches they had, and all that stuff. If you had told me, something, 2002. If you had told me, something, Remy, they're gonna reunite as D-Generation X, I'd be like, man, if you do that, I would personally buy you a Chick-fil-A sandwich, or a Big Mac or something. And I'd probably be one Big Mac, less, short, because lo and behold, 4 years later,
There
they
you go.
actually reformed D-Generation X.
Yep. Yep.
So you never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
I don't. I wouldn't throw it out of the picture, but I say we're not on that same page right now.
Okay, okay. So Retroflight. What if you had to say you and the tag team? A lot of tag teams, they get their inspirations from tag teams of the past, and even tag teams of the present. What would you say? Who would you say inspired you guys? When you guys were a tag team, like what tag teams would you say was your inspiration?
I would definitely say the Rockers was probably a good one. Our kind of motto was old school look, new school style. So we kind of had that like old school look. And then I'd definitely say the Rockers was a big inspiration during our training. Like we'd watch them a lot. And then that's probably the main one, honestly.
Okay. So I forgot to ask you this one. Growing up, like when you were growing up as a wrestling fan, who were your favorites to watch, like that you enjoyed seeing, and all that?
Um, See, I didn't really get into like I didn't know about like the old school wrestling. So when I started watching it, I was like, that was like the Finn Balor era. That was I was big on him for a while. Like I was a big fan of his, and then who else? I was the Shield was definitely a big one in that factor. So I mean, now looking back at like the old school, like I would definitely say like I love watching Stone Cold, like The Rock, a bunch of them.
Okay. Have you ever gotten to meet any of them? Like, I know. Not Dean Ambrose. Let me call him man, Dean Ambrose. John Moxley. He's one of Ohio's favorite sons. Did you ever get to meet him or any of the names that you just called, or you only
Uh,
just seen them on TV?
I have not yet. The only one I've met that I can think of on the top of my head that I've watched on YouTube before and got to meet was Bobby Fulton.
Oh, okay. Wow. Fantastics. The Fantastics, right?
Yep.
Wow. That must have been something because I remember growing up watching him. Although when I started watching him and Tommy Rogers, they were on the tail end of their run as professional wrestlers. Wow, that's a great name to meet right there. A lot
Yeah,
of information there.
I've seen Rikishi before. Let's see, the Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase. I've seen him before. I mean, so it's like pretty surreal. You get to see these guys on TV and they meet in real life. Like, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to do when I met, one thing I wanted to do was, and I'm probably gonna risk my life, but it's not nothing crazy. I wanted to meet Doom, Ron Simmons, and Butch Reed or Teddy Long. And what I would have done, I would have gone up to them and I would have looked at Ron Simmons, then I would have looked at Butch Reed, then I would look at Teddy Long, and then I'd be like, and then I would have gave myself a deep breath and go, damn, and then I would have, and then I would have ran because I don't want to know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Big scary. That's big scary.
Yeah, but that's cool that you got to meet those people. Though. It's
Yep.
it's really awesome seeing people that you grew up watching and they're just like right there. So in terms of in terms of back to the wrestling career now, you had you and Mike Howard, y'all wrestled against each other. Who's now um Justin Xavier's tag team partner in Arcade Hangover. And he said that you went over to the dark side and you kicked him in the face. So what happened, man? Like you guys were all just friends, and all of a sudden it's like boom.
Yeah, so me and it's kind of a long story, but I'll dumb it down. So I was a part of a tag team, and then with Retroflight, and then we were in it for about 8 or 9 months, and then I was at this promotion, and Justin Xavier won a title with another wrestler. So I took that personally. Like, yeah, you don't want to win your first title with me. You want to win it with him, which is okay. Which yeah, it was like a little cash in title. He cashed in with him or whatever. So I took that personally. I found myself a tag partner for a while. It was called the Marquee Players, and then that ended up breaking through. Um, so now I don't have a tag partner, and then here comes Mike Howard with Justin Xavier, and they form Arcade Hangover. So now here I am, tag partnerless. So that's kind of how that went.
Well, I mean, at least you have a tag team. I mean, at least you have your own singles title. So I mean, all is not
I
lost.
had one. Yeah. That was also unfortunate. Justin Xavier beat me for my title. So
Ah, well, like I said, you're not retired yet. You always have a chance to get it back. And I gotta say, like you're judging from your in-ring work, man, it's only a matter of time till you get that rematch. I've seen your matches against Gaston Leroux, and y'all got an incredible rivalry there, man. I saw the match where I don't know if it was the last one you guys had against each other, but there was one where it was a very very competitive one, and you were about to hit that sweet swanton bomb, the senton or swanton bomb off the top rope, and Gaston moved out of the way, and then he got you with the running knee. And I was like, ah, man, if he had not moved, that would probably have
yeah,
been it for him.
yeah, that was one of my favorite matches I've had of my career so far. Gaston's incredible. Like I've worked him a couple of times. Like he's very good. He's got a very good. His character's very good too.
Yeah. Now, while I actually enjoyed that match, what match have you had where you went into it you weren't too sure it was gonna be like, um, you weren't too sure it was gonna be well received. But then when you look back at it, you were like, wow, like we really tore the house down with this one. Like this is
Yeah.
like it's like an instant classic, no Christian Cage right here. Which match was that? Would you say was that for you?
I would say I've had a couple matches with Justin Xavier like that, like where we just straight up tore the house down. My last one with him, we were in a cage match and we tore it down there. That one with Gaston, um, I was like, okay, like I think this is going to be a good match. And then when looking back at it, I was like, wow, this is actually really good. So like I was very shocked of how well that match turned out. Same thing with Justin Xavier. I was like, okay, this could be a good match, and it turns out I was like, wow, all right, like I'm proud of this.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool, man. So, Justin. Speaking of Justin, Justin and Mike, they've been traveling all over the country. Have you gotten to travel outside of? So you're based in Ohio, right?
Yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ah, cool. So, they've gotten to travel outside of Ohio, and they've gone to several states. Have you gotten that opportunity, or are you still working on that?
Yeah, I've been to Illinois, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Indiana. I've been a couple places around Ohio. I haven't really traveled anywhere extravagant yet.
Okay. At least, I mean, you guys are still making moves. So you got, I mean, you're still, going to like, different states. So, that's a start. The big cities and the extravagant places. If you, I always say if you keep at it, you'll definitely get there.
Yeah.
So, which one? I mean, which one of those states that you wrestled at? Because I've heard people say, um, watching wrestling in different states. Wrestling is different in certain states. The crowd is different and whatnot. And I didn't know what that meant until I actually started like traveling myself. Like I've gotten to see wrestling in California and Florida and New York, which is where I'm based at right now, and even Texas. And you felt not that much of a difference, but you could definitely tell there was a bit of a difference. So, which state you felt was different from the others?
I definitely think Ohio is a very big wrestling state. Like, there's about 4 or 5 promotions within 3 or 4 hours, maybe even more. I'm pretty sure it's more than that. There's probably about 5 or 6 around like 3 or 4 hours, and like everybody loves wrestling. I feel like everybody loves wrestling in Ohio. Now, when I traveled to Illinois, that was a very good like wrestling town. Like everybody was into it. Um, I've been to when I went to Pennsylvania, like they were into it a lot. I actually had a kid throw a water bottle at me. That's pretty intense. Like I was not expecting that. So that's like how like I was a heel there, and me putting my heat out. Like if I have people throwing stuff at me, that's me doing my job. So like they're very big into it as well.
So wait, was that an empty water bottle or a full water bottle?
Yeah, it was like one of these. It had the hard caps, and it hit me right in the tip of the nose, and I threw it right back at the kid. And like,
Ouch.
it was lucky it was a kid. It was a grown man. It would have not gone well.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, it could have been worse. You could have been doing heel heat back in the days of Freddie Blassie and then back in the 60s and 70s where you'd leave the building and find your car on fire or
Yeah, yeah.
an angry mob waiting to meet you.
I've had a couple. Well, not an angry mob, but I've had an angry mom at me before. So I've had a couple of them.
Wow. And speaking of moms, that's my next question, man. The hot mother lover, man. The man who's something? I'm gonna give you a new moniker now, if you don't
All right,
mind. A new
let's
moniker.
hear it.
Stepdaddy out of nowhere.
Stepdaddy out of nowhere. I like it. That might be a new finish.
You ain't gotta pay me for that. I'll get stepdaddy out of nowhere because you're the hot mother lover. You love hot moms. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta ask you though, man. Like, how did you come up with that moniker, man? Like hot mother lover.
All right, so the hot mom like thing really. So I wore these hoodies before I was even wrestling. It's like during the COVID era, I discovered this YouTuber named Danny Duncan, and he like makes all these goofy shirts, like some say Virginity Rocks or I love hot moms or stuff like that. And I was like, wow, I need to get one of these. And I remember it took me literally like 3 months to order one of these because like everything was so backed up during COVID. It was like I finally got it. I was like, all right, I'm like ordering everything. So then I started wrestling. We did the retro fight thing, and we ended up splitting off there. I was like, okay, I need to find something new. I was like, well, I love hot moms, and that's I really do. Like, I love a good hot mom. And so I was like, well, I think I could get away with this. So I come out to like Hot Stuff by Donna Summers, and like I'll give a I didn't say this earlier, but I'll give a big shout out to like Rick Rude. I have really like he's a big inspiration of mine. Like I come out hips a swinging, all that, and I'd like I had the stash at one point like his. So he was definitely a big inspiration. But that is where I got it from a YouTuber, crazy enough.
Oh, that's cool, man. Rick Rude was definitely that guy, man. Oh,
He
geez.
was.
So, fun fact, like I said, I started watching wrestling in 1990. He was in WWE at the time. I used to cheer for Rick Rude
Yeah.
when he used to come out. And it's funny because back then it's like I didn't know he was a heel. And then back then, if you cheered for the heel, it was kind of like, what are you doing? He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy. But now it's like if you could root for whoever because it's a different it's a different era now.
Yeah.
But like back then I was like, nah, I can't root for that guy, man. He's the bad guy. But he's so cool. It's like, Rick Rude, man. They don't make him like they used to.
I know. He was a really big inspiration of mine. I started training at Jimmy Yang Wang's at his training school for a little bit, and like he's the one who like kind of brought him upon me, and I was like, I started really diving into it and watching him. I was like, oh wow, all right, yeah, I could do something with this. So big shout out to him.
That's pretty awesome, man. So, I got a couple more questions, before we shut it down. So, you've been battling with Gaston LaRue. You've been battling with Pac-Man. You've had your battles with Mike Howard. You're pretty much traveling all over the country. And I think pretty much pretty soon you're gonna be traveling all over the world. So now all the foreign hot moms might want to watch themselves too because you're definitely going global. So who would you say are in your top 5? In terms of people you want to wrestle in the near future? You can mention anybody because it's pro wrestling. I mean, it's unpredictable. I mean, one minute you're wrestling Pac-Man, the next minute you're wrestling, Kofi Kingston or Randy Orton, in WWE or Danhausen in AEW. I mean, who are your top 5? The top 5 the hot mother lover wants to wrestle in the near future.
I would say, like, unrealistically, my number 1 would be Finn Balor. Like when I discovered him in WWE, like I was like a really big fan. And then I didn't even know about his like NW or NJ or New Japan stuff. So then when I discovered him in like Bullet Club, I was like, holy wow, like I'm a really big fan now. So like he's a big also a big inspiration of mine. So probably him is number 1. Will Ospreay's in there, definitely. AJ Styles. Let's see. Probably somebody realistically from this area I would like to. Jake Chris is a big name in this area. Like, I feel like that'd be a killer match. And then let's see. Do another probably unrealistic one. I watched Joey Janela a lot. Like, as crazy as that sounds, like he was a big goofball. I was like, this guy's funny. And then when he got signed to AEW, like I watched their first pay-per-view and he was in the Battle Royal. He got like a cigarette stapled to his head. I was like, this is funny. So I started watching all his stuff. So I was definitely a big fan of his. So if that ever happened, that'd be pretty cool.
Joey Janela, man. That man, it's funny how you see people like when they first start out and then you see them like years later and they're thriving. I remember when he first came out, he was actually so there was this old video game called Pro Wrestling. It was just called Pro Wrestling, and you had some characters, and that were like just like they were unrealistic. They weren't like actual wrestlers. One of them was called Starman, and I remember Joey Janela did such a great job of wrestling as Starman in New Jersey. I was like, Wow. And then, you see him later on, he's doing the whole bad boy thing. And I'm like, oh, this man has really came far. He worked hard and now he's doing his thing in AEW and all over the world and so on.
Yeah, definitely a big like match that was really like great to me. Is it was like right during COVID, like everybody was goofing around. They didn't know what was really happening until COVID was like actually starting to become a big thing. He wrestled the Invisible Man. He came back for one match and he wrestled the Invisible Man. I was like, this is funny. That was great. No, that was a very funny match to me.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been something to see, man. So I just got, two more questions, before we, shut it down. So my second, my second to my second to last question, when you're working out in the gym, when you're doing some cardio, or when you're getting ready to face your opponent, you know, or meet a hot mom,
There
what
we
are some
go. There we
what are
go.
some songs that the hot mother lover, you know, has to have on his playlist
Oh,
whenever
we got
when he's getting in that zone.
okay. We just made a playlist today. It's called Fire Gym Songs. So definitely one or it's two songs combined. It's called On Time and then Superheroes. They're both by Metro Boomin. They both literally in sync with each other right when they end and then start. And that's like that gets me pumped up. Like that gets the adrenaline flowing. We'll listen to a lot of Drake. Um, and then also like a big inspiration of mine, it was Post Malone. He really like got me through COVID. So that
Okay.
all four of those all three are those are on my playlist.
Yeah, I would never forget that song Post Malone did with Ray Shremmerd. Well, it wasn't Ray Shremmerd. It was one of the one half of Ray Shremmerd, and it sounded really good. It was for I think it's called Sunflower. You
Sunflower,
probably heard
yeah.
it,
Yeah,
but
I love that song.
I was like, yo, this song is jamming, man. And Post Malone, he just stepped up.
Yep.
So, my last question, man, before we shut this show down. I asked Mike Howard this couple of days ago. I'm sure you might have a different answer, but I'm just throwing it out there. So let's say if somebody goes up to you and they're like, "Yo, Jayden, I like what you're doing, man. The hot mother lover. You doing your thing. Having these great matches against Pac-Man and Gaston Leroux and all that. I'm in the backyard, circuit right now. I'm on the backyard scene. I'm looking to step it up to the indie scene and get on y'all's level. What advice would you give that man or woman that's looking to do that?
First, I would give the common courtesy, like because it was portrayed to me, they give that option to go to the next level. I would be like, all right, here's your options to get trained. Like, there's a couple different options in Ohio. There's NWF, there's FGW, there's APW. I'll give them that option, and then like here, do your dues. Like stay focused. I would keep your mouth shut, keep your ears open. That was a big thing to me. Like that helped me a lot. Like I just listened to a lot of the veterans in the locker room, and they help you really grow. Pay your dues, like tear down the ring, set up the ring, stuff like that. But just keep the grind. Like it's a struggle. Like you'll appreciate the struggle when you finally debut like that. You have so much stress on your shoulders while you're training and you're trying to get better, and then you finally debut and do your thing, and it's just like a burden lifting off your shoulders. Like I still remember my debut match. Like it was something very special to me, and that will always live in my heart. Like even if I stop wrestling, like I'll always have that feeling. So we'll just like stick to the grind, work out, eat right, don't give up. Just never give up. If this is your dreams will come true if you work for them.
Awesome. So for those of y'all that just heard, that are actually, doing the backyard thing. And like I said, no judgment here. I mean, we all got to start somewhere. For
That's
those
where I
y'all doing the
started.
backyard, yeah, there you go. And you want to know who else started in the backyard scene? CM Punk, the best in the world. And look at him now. I mean, he's out at AEW right now, but I mean, look what he accomplished. So,
Yep.
you know, for those of you that are in the backyard scene, or even those of you that are looking to get into pro wrestling, you just got some advice from one of the people that are actually doing it and doing it right. So anything else you probably, if you want any other, advice from a hot mother lover, you might got to hit up his Cash App, his PayPal, 'cause he's a busy man. He has a
My
lot of things
DMs
to
are
do.
always open, but your mom
There,
has to hit me up first.
there you go. So with that being said, I just got to say, Jayden, thank you very much for, taking time out of your schedule to be a guest on our show. We really and truly appreciate it. We're glad that we could finally make this happen. I wish you nothing but the best in your career. I hope you get to not just travel the country, but also travel, the globe as well. And by the way, like I said, when you travel the world, you got to show us some videos of the hot moms you meet, man.
There we go.
Trust me.
I just
You know
I
what I'm
just
saying?
traveled to Vegas and I got some hot moms out there, so that
There
was
you
that was fun
go.
for sure.
There you go, man. So, before we shut it down, man, where can fans find you on social media when they want to, find out my next appearances, purchase, Jayden Jett merchandise, like that hoodie you have right there?
Yeah.
And where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows?
My Facebook is Jayden Jett. My Instagram is Jayden Jett. I'm always the first one that pops up when you type in Jayden Jett. It's with 2 T's. My YouTube is also Jayden Jett. My DMs are always open. I'm always a phone call away. But yeah, if anybody wants merch, just DM me and we can do some business.
Awesome. So y'all heard, definitely, if you want some merch, definitely DM him. He's willing to, like, do business that way. Promoters, y'all definitely heard his links. Hire this man. He'll definitely show you what it is and what's up in the ring as well too. And like I said, for those of y'all that that are fans, if you can't make the matches, another way you can actually do so is by purchasing the merchandise. And that way, when you see Jayden Jett, on AEW or WWE or Impact, you'll be like, yo, I got that man's
Hell
shirt,
yeah.
man.
Sure.
Y'all, you might see some guy saying, "Oh, I got the new Jayden Jett shirt from Shop AEW or WWE Shop," but you could be like, "Man, I had this shirt from back in the Indies, man. I'm a real fan." You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Support indie wrestling. It's always a great feeling. And with
Yep.
that being said, it's about time for us to shut this show down. My eyelids are getting heavy. My stomach is rumbling. That means it's time for dinner and a nap. Maybe not in that order, but if you want to find me on social media, not that I say a lot of cool things, but I do go to, a couple of cool places every now and then. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at rings, not at the Remy Blue. You can also find me on Facebook under the alias Remy Blue. Our podcast is also on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Ringside Society. Twitch at Ringside Society 2019. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. We're also on Spotify and Teespring, where we sell official Ringside Society merchandise. And we're also on YouTube, where you can actually see cool interviews like this one, like the one we had with Justin Pac-Man Xavier and Life of the Party Mike Howard. All those interviews are on YouTube. All you got to do is when you go to YouTube, type in Ringside Society, and once you see that really gorgeous, handsome, dark blue and light blue yin yang sound with the blue flames around it, that's when you know it's us. So make sure you subscribe to all our videos, because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and you don't want to miss a thing like Aerosmith in 1998. But with that being said, we just want to thank everybody tuning in live tonight. Thank you very much. We really and truly appreciate it. We're one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fan could, should, and would listen to, and we're not going to stop being that. To those of you that are going to listen later on, we get a chance. Thank you very much in advance. And those of y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we go away, well, like myself at the Golden Corral or Jayden Jett with a group of hot moms, we're not going anywhere for a while. With that being said, we just want to let everybody know that we're very well. We pretty much know that everybody and their grandparents and their parents have a podcast, but we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. So with that being said, I'm going to say it right now. One time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, and one time for the hot mother lover, stepdaddy out of nowhere, hot stuff, Jayden Jett. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society, and we'll be back next week with another impressive guest on another impressive episode. But until then, we just have 4 favorites for y'all. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.